Spider-Man: The Dragon's Challenge was released in 1981. It is apparently a combination of a 1979 two-parter episode, The Chinese Web from The Amazing Spider-Man, which I had never seen before. This is directed by Don McDougall, written by Lionel E. Siegel, with a cast including Nicholas Hammond, Robert F. Simon, Rosalind, Chao, and Ted Danson. It's because of Ted Danson that I became aware of this, and I'm not exactly a big Spider-Man fan, but I don't mind the character, so I wasn't sure if I'd like this or not. And having now watched it, I can say I didn't care for it. I think partly down to personal preference. It's not my kind of story, but I also just found it to be very, very slow. And the character of Spider-Man he looked like somebody in a fancy dress costume. There was just something about it that didn't feel that spectacular. Obviously released late 70s, early 80s, so it's in part a product of its time, but even with that in mind, I still just didn't think it looked that good. The narrative, in fact, I'll read the description from IMDb. And this says, The Amazing Spider-Man goes to China to help a World War II official accused of treachery. It's not that interesting. It's focusing on a character called Min-Lo Chan, who is played by Benson Fong, and we also have Superman played by Nicholas Hammond, and it took a while for Superman to appear. Now, usually with superhero films, it does take some time for the superhero to arrive, particularly when they have another identity and we get to know that character first. But it did seem to take a tremendously long time, and as I said, when Superman did arrive, it wasn't that great. Anyway, I don't care for the narrative. That's purely personal preference. But as I said, it also just felt very, very slow. It wasn't engaging. I didn't think the characters were that interesting. And for me personally, it just didn't seem to have a lot to offer. It was very dull, very flat. The characters were boring. I guess the performances are fine with the material they had to work with. But in general, there's just no spark to this. It's not exciting. Maybe if I was a really big Spider-Man fan, I'd enjoy it because of the character. But being a very casual Spider-Man fan, I just didn't get anything out of it. That being said, if you're a big Spider-Man fan, you probably have very specific expectations. And I'm not sure it's going to meet those expectations. So a bit of a dull narrative, both in terms of personal preference and also just the execution of the story. The characters are boring, but I guess the performances are generally okay. Spider-Man as a character was very, very boring as well. So it didn't work for me. It might appeal to other people. For reference, it has 4.7 out of 10 on IMDb, and that is across 1.4 thousand reviews and ratings. So it's not the lowest rated film, but it doesn't seem to be that well received. If you watch it, I'd love to know what you think of it. Personally, I didn't care for it. Yes, it was nice to see Ted Danson, but unfortunately, it's not one of those films where I was ultimately glad to have an excuse to watch it. Not a great experience. I guess it could be worse. But unless you're a big Spider-Man fan, I don't really think it's worth it.